Hi and welcome to this video series targeting the knowledge in Topic 3, Unit 1 of your work in General Mathematics, and that is linear equations and their graphs. You'll need to float through these videos in order to make sure that you understand all of the content, but of course some of the early videos you might find are quite repetitive on previous knowledge. Linear equations. So this topic will be a complete review of the work you've done in the past, previous years, years 7, 8 and 9, or maybe even a bit after that. So what we need to make sure is that you have clarity around what a linear equation is and how we solve them. So I'm going to run through in a very general sense the types of linear equations you might face in this course. So firstly we've got our really simple linear equations, and they look a bit like this. 2 plus x equals 9. It's an equation because it has just a single x, which makes it solvable. Equal sign, also a really important part of an equation. This particular one is probably our most simple version because it involves x and something added to it. Now of course the opposite to addition is subtraction. So the way we would solve this is to subtract 2 from each side. But that's not really the point of this video. Here's the second one. We'll call this equation type number 1. Equation type number 2 is 3x equals 11. Now you might quickly do this and realise it's not a nice solution, but again we've got 3x, which is times. The opposite to that is divide. So the way we would remove the 3 is to provide the opposite operation, divide by 3. And we'd have a solution for x. Now I'm only going to work in x, it's a bit boring, it's a bit math teachery, but that's okay. Now we could have some further, more complex equations, so we'll do these in blue to show the difference. And maybe the first case would be something like 3x plus 2 equals 9, and this particular equation is a little bit more complex because it has that multiplication division element and addition and subtraction element. So it's a two-stage equation, that's what we typically call it. And then equation number 4 would be the type of equation that looks a bit like this. X minus 11 equals 4x plus 2. It's a little bit of a step on, and in this particular case we call this a little bit more of a complex equation because it has x's on both sides. But we can deal with that. We still have this addition, subtraction, multiplication, division thing that we can play with. So we'll move over here and we'll talk about some other equations you might face. So equation number 5, maybe this equation. 3x minus 1 equals 7. I'll just put a little line here to represent that. And this particular equation, it's not really that much more complex than these, but it involves some brackets. You might see equations like that. Type number 6, maybe you have something like x over 7 equals 2 plus 2x over 3. Now this is an equation that involves fractions, which is our next step. Again, there are steps we can take to make this a fairly simple equation after a couple of steps, but this one also involves x on both sides. So it's a combination of 4 and an equation that involves fractions. And of course, for you, the hardest we can really get in this course would be something along the lines of 2 over x plus 3 equals 8, or maybe something that involves brackets on a fraction, like that. So this one here has x in the denominator of the fraction, easily dealt with, but a little bit more complex, and this one here has brackets in a fraction. And that's about as hard as it's going to get in this course. Now in the next few videos we're going to go through how to solve all these different types of equations. This introduction video hopefully will show you the types of things you're going to face. So let's summarise. You're going to be facing linear equations as a foundational piece of knowledge for the rest of the topics you do in mathematics at high school level. So it's really important that you know how to do it. Recall that in all cases, dealing with simplification techniques like expanding brackets and using opposite operations to remove terms, such as subtracting when you need to get rid of a term that's added, or maybe dividing to get rid of a term that's multiplied on, is going to be the way forward to solving the linear equation questions. Make sure that you practice them thoroughly and ask your teacher if you need any more help. All the best.